So I made a video yesterday about not getting mad at God for things happening in life, how we live in a fallen world, etc. And this video is going to be holding hands with that video, in the sense that it's going to be about positioning ourselves with relationship to God. You know, we all know that when we worship, we extend our hands either up or out to receive. That's a position. And we could also frown, fold our arms, and turn our backs to God. That's a position. And there's many different positions. You can be indifferent or you can be in alignment. This is where your free will plays a role. And all of us have this to decide on whether we're going to follow God in the midst of trials, tribulations, and hardships. I think of Apostle Paul when he's going through all that he went through: shipwrecked, stoned, persecuted, thrown into jail, and how they chose the posture, the position of rejoicing. And they left us that in the Bible. They said, rejoice when you go through all these things. And boy, oh boy, did they go through a lot. It seemed to like storm after storm was knocking on their doors continuously, just warfare. And yet they just persevered, and something really, really, really powerful happened every time they chose to the right posture, the right position. Every time they chose the right way, right, to exalt God in the midst of, darkness trying to prevail and all this. When they chose that, their anointing on their life increased, their faith increased, what God was doing with them increased, their ministry increased, their relationship to God increased, everything increased around them. Sure, there was things that were pressing them. There's a verse in the Bible that says we're pressed but we're not crushed, right? There's so many things that happen to us, but it doesn't annihilate us. It comes to kind of get in our way, to try to make our life a little bit more difficult. But if you could get over that hurdle, if you could get over that hump, there's purpose in it. And also, not only is there purpose, but there's peace. God grants you peace. God is with you. He's closer than a brother, if you allow him to be. If you allow him to be, God will come close. And I dare to say that God comes the closest, not when it's good time, but when it's a bad time. There's verses in the book of Ecclesiastes that say that it's better to be in a house of mourning than a house of feasting. And all throughout the book of Ecclesiastes, it speaks of a lot of the opposite of what the carnal nature believes everything to be like. The carnal nature makes life out to be everything about pleasure and fun, entertainment, and just. But in the Bible, it's the opposite. God chooses the hard road, not the easy road. The devil chooses the easy road, right? God chooses that road that makes you scratch your head and say, why down that road? Why does things have to be this hard or this? And then it's up to the person not to complain, murmur, and have the right attitude and have the right spirit, to where, like the apostles, they chose, and it's a decision in the end of the day, they chose to worship God in the midst of enemies and this and that. So it's a decision, it's a posture, it's a position that you take, it's a mindset, an attitude that you wear. Joseph, when he was sent to when he was sold as a slave by his brothers, surely he could have taken on that mindset of a victim. He could have lived the rest of his life very, very, very much offended and been validated by all of his buddies in jail, saying, yeah, that wasn't right, man, they shouldn't have done that to you. And he just that could have affirmed him that he was right. But he didn't choose that. He chose the higher road. it's almost like these guys understood something that in this generation we're missing. They understood that stuff happens, and don't take it personal. You know, water off a duck's back, so to speak. They chose, I gotta press forward, I gotta move on. I can't stay here. I can't, you know. That guy that was by the pool by 40 years, that he was crippled, and Jesus came and asked him the question, do you want to be well? Almost like saying, you know, nothing lasts forever. And at this point, you've been here quite a while. Do you want to be well? It's going to take your free will. It's going to take a posture, a position, a choice, a mindset, an attitude to get back up. Once I tell you, once I give you the ability to walk, you know, then your whole life has changed. You have to go, you have to get a job, you have to work, you have to, you know, like start life. Like, do you want to be well? Is this something that you want? And he had to accept that, right? Everybody wants to walk, but everything that comes with walking, you know, now has to be done, right? I heard a sermon of that same man that was by the pool, that would be stirred up once a year by the angels, and there would be a miracle. I heard a sermon that was pretty good. It resonated, that people were serving him his whole life because he couldn't move. So that means somebody had to come and bring him his food, come and bring him something to drink, come move him, and this and that, and how that can become pretty comfy, how that can become a lifestyle of, I'm used to this. And when Jesus asked him, like, do you want to be well? Because you got to give up all of that. Now you got to do stuff for yourself. Now you got to, you know, pick up your mat and like do stuff, man. Right? Earn a living and all this. Like, do you want to be well? Because by being well, you got to do all that stuff. No more handouts and this and that. So many things to talk about and point out in the Bible, but ultimately it's up to us to look at God from the right perspective. I think that it really gets narrowed down to perspective and how you look at things. And if you look at it like, why'd you allow this, why'd you allow that, you're going to be indifferent. You're going to be looking at God sideways, and it's going to make you feel like you can't trust, make you feel like all this stuff. But rather, I think a better posture, and you tweak this however you see fit, but a better posture would be, God, I don't understand this. Help my heart, help my mind, help me in this time, you know, and then I decide to move forward. Help all this work together for the good. And I know that you're a good God, and you affirm yourself in the truth. You continue on and you affirm yourself in the truth according to the Bible. Relationship. The last thing I want to say in this video is that hardships allows things to come in. Think about whenever you are being pressed and hard and you find yourself in adversity, right? Jesus wants a deeper relationship. Jesus wants more than what we have with him currently. We move from glory to glory and faith to faith. So the hardships provide entrance of God coming and taking up more than what he currently has when we position ourselves in the right posture, when we confide in him and not in other things of this world. And when we pass the test, we come out of it with greater glory, greater faith, greater everything. Not that it's about us, but that's just a byproduct of what God does on his own when we go through something that's really hard and we don't question him and complain and murmur. The Bible's full of examples of what not to do and where it leads you. And then it's examples of what to do and where it leads you. And then it's a decision on our end. Are you going to be offended? Or are you going to put down the way that seems right to you. And then get into the Bible, read the Word, see how the Word refreshes you. Get into worship, put your hands up, because He's Lord. That's why. And by Him being Lord, He's Lord over all. Not just on good days. Not when you want Him to be, because He gave you $1 million. No, He's Lord over, you know. So, let's leave it there. But, you know, it's a position, it's a posture, it's a mindset, it's an attitude, it's a spirit. It's us, it's our decisions, it's our free will. It's our decision to follow Him. And like the disciples, they chose to rejoice when they were going through the things that they were going through. And boy, oh boy, did they go through a lot. And yet, they found joy in it all. And now it's up to us to explore what it is that they were meditating on the whole time of going through all of that. Right? Peter, when it was his time to go, he said, you know, don't put me on the cross the same way my Savior died. You know, I don't deserve that. And He died a worser death, a more, you know, crucified upside down. And it's like, who would sign up for something that's worse than, you know, who would sign up for something like that? It's like, that's relationship, brother. That's relationship. It's when you have the relationship, it gives you insight into what the carnal mind knows nothing about. Carnal mind just knows about itself, its feelings. I didn't get my way. That's what the carnal mind knows about. Carnal mind doesn't know about relationship, doesn't know about sacrifice and suffering. It doesn't know about putting your chips in the middle of the table and saying, you know, not my will, but your will be done. The carnal mind doesn't know nothing about that. So then it can't comprehend a message that is spiritual, because it's not spiritual. It's carnal minded. It's all about itself. So remember this, whenever you go through stuff, understand that it's not if, it's when it happens, and to prepare yourself even before it happens, that you're going to respond in a position to honor God, to worship God, because good things do come out of it afterwards. But nowhere in the Bible did God promise you sunny days and rainbows. It said, in this life you will suffer, but take heart, I have overcome the world. So this is a message of truth. This is the truth. So God bless you guys.